Breaking news, Gaza is under attack. Israel has fully violated the ceasefire and bombing has continued in Rafah and Gaza City. For the 48th time so far, Israel has violated the ceasefire, and this is the biggest yet. This morning, Israel accused the group in Gaza of violating the ceasefire and then ordered the IDF Air Force to resume bombings on terror targets in the Strip, which already killed dozens of Palestinian civilians this morning. This led to Ben-Gvir, the National Security Advisor of Israel, to post this out, calling on Netanyahu to fully resume combat for maximum force, saying that the Gazans are just not going to adhere to the agreement, so they should just bomb them. So far, Netanyahu's office has not released a statement, but he did order these strikes. Israel's claiming that there was a convoy that was attacked by the group in Gaza, which then led to the IDF to bomb civilians yet again. Many people within Netanyahu's government are simply calling for a full resumption of fighting. Comment your thoughts on this, make sure.
The ceasefire agreement between Israel and Gaza has just been broken. It's been literally like a week and it's already been broken. The Gaza agency claims that 11 people have been killed in the Israeli airstrikes. Hamas has stated that the escalation of this conflict could hinder the release of the remaining Israelis that they have under their control being released. And all of this has happened 2 days after Donald Trump has threatened to unalive Hamas over their own unaliving of Palestinians, stating that if Hamas continues to unalive people in Gaza, which was not the deal, we will have no choice but to go in and unalive them. Trump wrote in a social media post on Thursday. So guys, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think Donald Trump's going to get involved? Is he going to follow through with the threats, or is he going to try and do another ceasefire agreement? Let me know in the comments down below.
The fragile ceasefire between Israel and Hamas seems like it's collapsing, mostly because in the past few hours we've seen an exchange of fire between both sides. And in the past 3 days, it's been little blips here and there, but today it's kind of been more explosive. Israeli officials said that in the city of Rafah, they were attacked by militants using rocket-powered grenades and sniper fire, saying that what they had done here is blatant violation of the U.S.-brokered truce. In response, Israel then sent jets into Rafah, striking several sites, and at this time we know at least 8 people lost their lives. There's one thing here that you need to understand. There's something that's called a yellow line, in which is a line in which both sides can't cross. It's pretty much where the beginning of the ceasefire is at. And well, yesterday we saw that there was a bus from Gaza that crossed around that line, which is not a physical line, which was attacked, and we saw a family who lost their lives. And well, today Israel says that Hamas had fired beyond that yellow line, though Hamas says, no, we did not, saying that they've committed to the truce and that there has been no knowledge of any clashes. Israel's prime minister ordered a forceful action, warning Hamas, saying, quote, "You'll pay a heavy price for every violation." Remember, we're only 9 days truly into this truce, and so things are going to happen from time to time. The question is, what's going to happen next? Clearly, this is the biggest breach of this treaty, and it could unravel everything since there's a lot of pressure on the prime minister to resume the full war from his parliament. And at least at this moment, it feels like Gaza is potentially back on the brink of potentially war again. I'll be sure to keep you guys updated on all of this, so please do share my videos and follow me for more.
So much for that ceasefire. In breaking but completely unsurprising news, that ceasefire seems to be over. Didn't even last 2 full weeks. Yeah, Bibi has ordered strikes and has ordered the halt of all humanitarian aid going into Gaza. So what the story is, apparently, allegedly, according to sources, an RPG or several were fired over the yellow line into I-occupied areas, and the I country struck back. Not just at those who fired those RPGs. No. They struck well into Gaza. Yeah. And then Bibi again ordered the stoppage of all humanitarian aid. And in case you're wondering, that's a big deal. That's a big linchpin of this entire ceasefire. And yeah, I'm not at all surprised this has happened. I'm surprised it lasted this long, if I'm being completely honest with you. There it is.
Donald Trump's ceasefire deal in the Middle East is officially over as Israel is bombing Gaza once again. Now, if you missed it, Israel has confirmed today that they are continuing to bomb southern Gaza in a complete violation of the ceasefire. And this is all on Donald Trump because he put more effort in the press conference to announce the ceasefire deal than he did in the ceasefire deal, but more importantly, the structure of how it's actually going to be carried out. Because at the end of the day, Donald Trump simply wanted to say, I stopped another war. And he did. He proclaimed that this was historic. And there was true peace in the Middle East because of him. And if that's the case, then this is a new war that's on him. If he stopped the last one that happened under Biden, then this 100% falls on Donald Trump. But the truth is, he's only after a Nobel Peace Prize. He's not trying to create new peace. And so all he's doing is trying to find a way to stand in front of a podium and declare, I am the champion of peace, I did it, and this is the result.
So all you MAGA idiots out there that said Donald Trump deserves the Nobel Peace Prize when Trump said the war was over and there's peace in the Middle East, I told you he was full of shit. I told you he was lying to all of you, and I was right. Just days after this ceasefire agreement, and that's what it was, Hamas has been going door to door executing innocent people. We've seen the video. It's all over social media and everywhere. Innocent people losing their lives, Hamas executing them. And then what does Donald Trump say? Just days after he said there was peace in the Middle East and the war was over, he puts out a Truth Social tweet. Similar to the tweets he put out every single time Vladimir Putin executes innocent people with the war in Ukraine. Donald Trump says, if Hamas continues to execute people in Gaza, which was not the deal, we will have no choice but to go in. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So basically, Donald Trump lied, as I told you he was. Hamas has broken the ceasefire agreement. The war couldn't be further from over. Does Donald Trump still deserve the Nobel Peace Prize? I'm just asking you MAGA people out there that were saying Donald Trump is the savior who made peace in the Middle East. I'm wondering, where are those comments now?
All right, guys, so Trump is now threatening U.S. boots on the ground against Hamas in Gaza. He sent out this truth. I'm going to let Kyle read it because he does the Trump voice really well.
If Hamas continues to kill people in Gaza, which was not the deal, we will have no choice but to go in and kill them. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
Unbelievable. So now, not only do we have Israel violating the ceasefire, now we have Trump threatening American boots on the ground in Gaza. And remember, this kind of passed, people talked about it a little bit and then just kind of passed by. But we already announced we're going to have 200 U.S. troops in Israel to monitor the ceasefire. Remember that?
Mm-hmm. It's a fake ceasefire. It's a fake peace deal. It was always fake.
Unreal.
This has been a disastrous Sunday for Donald Trump. His Sunday is unraveling quickly. The ceasefire agreement in the Gaza Strip has all but collapsed. The Israeli Air Force continued strikes against areas in southern Gaza and central Gaza as well this morning, targeting sites that it claims are controlled by Hamas. On the other hand, Hamas says that Israel has violated the ceasefire repeatedly. We're learning that Israel is halting the entry of humanitarian aid into the Gaza Strip as it ramps up these military strikes. Both sides accusing each other of violations of the ceasefire. A massive wave of attacks in southern Gaza just taking place right now, and we're just getting this news. 11 people have been killed in the Israeli attacks across Gaza today. And folks, from day one, the Midas Touch Network was never calling what transpired a historic peace deal. We called it a very fragile and structurally flawed and likely fraudulent ceasefire, and I think our reporting was spot on once again there. We'll keep you apprised, but this ceasefire is all but dead. It is over as the strikes continue and the war rages on. Yet another failure by Donald Trump. So what's Donald Trump doing? Just pretend that that isn't happening. He's sending his sycophants on the various news programs this morning, like MAGA Mike Johnson and others, and their message this morning was, give the man a Nobel Peace Prize. We spoke with the Knesset. Everybody says that Trump should get a peace prize. You idiot. The war is raging. The war is raging right now, okay?
We are now a truly historic peace deal that just by sheer force of his personality, President Trump was able to push through. And I think he greatly deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. In fact, Speaker Ohana of the Knesset and I have joined forces to try to collect as many signatures as we can from other speakers and leaders of parliaments around the free world to join us in co-nominating President Trump for the next Nobel Peace Prize. There's no one's more deserving than that.
I think this photo right here is apt. Sir, the victory lap was premature, sir. It wasn't that it was just premature. It was a fraud from the outset.
Alright guys, so this is kind of fucked, but I didn't make the video about Trump getting peace in the Middle East the other day because I figured it wasn't going to hold. And long and behold, I go on the news and all of a sudden I figure out that Hamas is now doing public executions and did do them for 33 different Palestinians the other day. Actually, I think this was fucking either today or yesterday. And is gripped tighter on their ground even since the ceasefire. Now, I figured this was going to happen anyway because, you know, I mean, shit happens like that. They'll tell you they want peace, but, you know, they strive off of literally terrorizing people and gaining control of areas through fear. So this was not exactly surprising to me, you know, give them reassurance and then fuck them over. But yeah, they've done 33 public executions so far. But yeah, it is kind of crazy because the other day Trump was like, you know, this ceasefire will hold, you know, whoop-de-whoop. I'm glad y'all came, you know, blah, blah, blah. You know, everyone's fine and dandy. Everyone's happy about it. But I knew for a fact that this shit wasn't going to hold. Hamas is one of them organizations where you can't really reason with them. They're terrorists. Like, they're going to keep doing what they want to do until you literally force them to get out or kill them. I mean, it's going to have to be one of the two. So, I mean, shit, I'm going to be honest, though. The Gaza and Israel problem has been going on for far too long. I don't give a fuck who has to say about it. But Palestinians, children, all this bombing and shit, you literally turn Gaza to glass. I mean, to be honest, I don't even know how Hamas is even still operating there because of how much Israel already bombed the shit out of them. But yeah, no, they're not giving up. I mean, 20 people were sent back to their families. And, you know, whatever condition you can assume they would come back in being in a terrorist group, you know, held hostage. But, yeah, no, it's just kind of fucked because I don't see this ending anytime soon unless someone literally forces them to get the fuck out.
Israel have no intention of stopping this Holocaust. Israel have, in the midst of what is meant to be a ceasefire, and this is just today, by the way, just today, they have already unalived 6 Palestinians. Multiple wounded. This is just today. The ceasefire agreement came into play, supposedly a few days ago. Israel have no intention of stopping this Holocaust unless they are stopped. We need to do more. I don't know what else to tell you. I don't know how else to explain this. But now is not the time to back down of any sort because they are unaliving people by the minute. Let's not forget the West Bank. Let's not forget occupied Palestine. Israel have to be stopped. It's as simple as that. They have to be stopped. They are not going to stop themselves. We need to continue and we need to go harder because they're just not going to stop.
Reports are coming in that the Israel-Hamas ceasefire has already fallen apart. The so-called pause in fighting didn't even last long enough for the dust to settle. Israeli officials say Hamas launched multiple attacks during the ceasefire. An RPG, sniper fire, clear violations, they claim. Hamas denies it, saying they're sticking to the deal and blaming Israel for breaking it first. Meanwhile, Israeli media reporting fresh airstrikes on Gaza, though the military hasn't officially confirmed it. So who's actually keeping this ceasefire alive? Because on paper, it's a 20-point agreement that includes Hamas giving up its weapons, which hasn't happened, not even close. and the US is warning Hamas not to launch any new attacks, calling it a grave violation. But here's the thing, every time there's a ceasefire, the headlines read the same. Both sides blame each other. The world pretends to mediate, and civilians pay the price. The truth is, this isn't peace. It's a pause in war. And tonight, that pause looks finished. Have your say in the comments and follow for more news, views, and uncomfortable truths.
Wait a second. So Trump is now pretending to care about due process for people in Gaza. Yeah. He posted on his fake social media, if Hamas continues to kill people in Gaza, which was not in the deal, we will have no choice but to go in and kill them. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So let me get this straight, Santa. For 2 years straight, you have allowed the Israeli regime to kill people in Gaza with impunity and no due process, just by calling them Hamas. But now, suddenly, you're very concerned about due process in Gaza and the civilians there. And girl, who is we? Does he mean he wants to send American troops into Gaza? Because when he says, we will have no choice, it sounds like he's saying American troops. And if that's the case, that's insane. Where are you, MAGA? What happened? What happened to no troops on the ground? Remember they said that? After the U.S. helped the Israeli regime carry out strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities, the so-called anti-war MAGA right made excuses by saying, oh, well, this is different because it's not boots on the ground. But U.S. troops, boots on the ground, are now going to get sent into Gaza? Under the guise of protecting Gaza's civilians. You know what this sounds like? This sounds like you've run out of troops there. This sounds like the Israeli regime wants to go back into Gaza and maybe they don't have enough reservists. So maybe they need some Americans. Remember last week when we talked about the U.S. sending troops there to supposedly monitor the ceasefire? How convenient that they're already there as Trump threatens to go in. No. Just so everybody understands what's happening here, this is Trump trying to help the Israeli regime manufacture consent so that they can do another onslaught of the people of Gaza. Because tell me why Trump said this like a day ago when asked about Hamas going after those Israel-affiliated gangs.
You know, they did take out a couple of gangs that were very bad, very bad gangs, and they did take them out, and they killed a number of gang members. And that didn't bother me much, to be honest with you. That's okay. It's a couple of very bad gangs, you know, it's no different than other countries.
So Trump, that you? So what changed? What changed? Let me tell you what changed. Listen to what Lindsey Graham, who has never met a war that he did not want to send your kids to die for, said the other night on Sean Hannity.
People in Gaza who sided with Israel are being slaughtered by Hamas. Israel cannot afford, Sean, to sit on the sidelines and watch people who stood up to help them be slaughtered by Hamas. As I speak tonight, there are discussions in Israel about potentially going back in to save those tribes and clans that had the guts to stand up against Hamas.
You see how it's not adding up? Trump literally said a few days ago that it didn't bother him. But now Graham is encouraging the regime to go back into Gaza to allegedly stand up for them. What he is talking about are gangs and militias that have formed in Gaza that are working with the Israeli regime. And if you don't believe me that these clans and gangs and militias that have formed that are working with the Israeli regime, let's listen to Netanyahu say exactly that.
אנחנו הפעלנו חמולות בעזה שמתנגדות לחמאס. מה רע בזה? זה רק טוב. רק מציל חיים של חיילי צה"ל. והפרסום של זה עושה טוב רק לחמאס.
So not only does Netanyahu admit that they're doing that, what he's mad about was that people were talking about it, that it was leaking. So just understand, when you see Trump or Zionist influencers that work with the Trump administration lying and saying that they're going in to help the people of Gaza by defending the militias that are working with the Israeli regime, just know that they are lying. This is just about manufacturing consent to go back into the Gaza Strip and then pretend that they weren't the ones that broke the ceasefire, which they had already broken within a few hours of its implementation. If you actually believe that they give a fuck about this, that they give a fuck about protecting the people of Gaza, I have a Trump meme coin to sell you. Like, really, how many times are we going to listen to war chicken hawk Lindsey Graham, who has supported and promoted the U.S. getting into every single possible war that it ever could? All of a sudden, he's very concerned about Gaza civilians. You know, he's just very concerned. This reminds me of the, we need to stay in Afghanistan because of the Afghan girls. Right. Because Lindsey Graham, remember, he really cared about those Afghan girls. You guys, I can't. It's fucking Groundhog Day. This is your anti-war president, ladies and gentlemen, who is in the process of trying to do another coup in Venezuela, by the way. If you actually cared about being anti-war, now would be the time to fucking speak up. Every single one of you supposedly anti-war people should be making clear to Trump, no boots on the ground in Gaza, no war in Venezuela.